In the wild, mysterious depths of Brittany, France, sits an old abandoned shack. Surrounded by ancient oaks and home to all manner of forest dwellers, it is here that we meet to share our stories. So pull up a seat, swing that light, grab your favourite beverage as we share another tantalising tale in the freaking shack.
Button. There it is.
There it is. We are live.
Well, we're not live.
No,
but,
we're not.
You know, that's probably just as well.
The
Because we get to edit all this crap out.
The microphone is live. Go.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the freaking shack.
Hi, everyone. Well,
I have no idea what's going on now. I'm totally confused. You've given me wine. We've had cake.
and we've had more cake.
And now I'm just full of cake and wine. It's rather nice, actually, but now I'm tired, so...
Yes, we're nice and tired, but we're warm.
We are warm.
It's lovely and warm in here.
A nice little fire is doing its job rather well.
It is. And we are here after last week's total mess.
Yeah. Hey, it's fun.
It was a fun mess. But all about Valentine's Day, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Valentine's Day special.
On weird and wonderful Valentine things.
Yeah. All of it surrounding the old traditions, stroke myths around it.
So this week we are back on the travel trail.
Oh, I like it. Bit of alliteration for you.
Yeah, I'm using that a lot at the minute.
What? Alliteration.
Got it. Yes, on our not all of our titles, but some of our titles.
I think I like a bit of alliteration. It works well.
Well, this week we've got Fearful Flights.
Ooh. And the day that we're recording this is a pretty apt day. Really.
It's quite a scary day, actually. We didn't plan it to be, but we are actually recording this on the day that the plane and the helicopter collided. And
sending all of our love to the families of those people. Yeah,
horrendous. But it was not planned for today. It's just a weird coincidence.
It is a weird coincidence that we were doing this today.
But it won't be, obviously, it won't come out for a few weeks yet. Yeah. We'll be well into February, so... but it's quite poignant tonight that we happen to be doing this particular episode.
Yeah, it's put a bit of a cloud on it, I
think.
It
has, but we will rise from that because, as I say, you won't hear this for a few more weeks yet, so it will be past for us anyway, not for the families.
I was going to say potentially not for the families involved, but we are sending them lots of love.
Yeah, and our thoughts go out to them. So, Fearful Flights. Some of them not necessarily about flying. Some of them of the stories are around airfields and...
Because we talked about that a couple of weeks back. We talked about phantom... that airfield. And we talked about that in one of our other episodes.
Yeah.
That was suddenly all up and running and...
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
They saw they saw one all up... It was an abandoned airfield, but when he flew over it, it was all up and running. And
that's right, blah. Yeah. And then
later on...
Yeah, years later or something, or 6 months later.
Oh, no, it was 4 years. 4 years
4 years later. He went back to it, and it was just as he saw it 4 years before.
Yeah, so it was a time shift.
It was
forwards.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Anyway, this one, the first one that we're actually going to talk about tonight is one that we have spoken about before, and we said we wanted to do a slightly deeper dive into it.
Love it.
So I have actually, so I will go through it again, and when we've finished going through them all, I will do this little dive into a couple of them this week.
Okey-dokey.
Just a little bit more information. So, shall we just plunge ourselves in?
I think we should.
So, the one that we've spoken about before was the Eastern Airlines Flight 401. And this was the flight that crashed into the Everglades in Florida in 1972, killing 101 people.
Wow.
This was the one, the rear of the aircraft was salvaged and used in other planes.
Which is so often the case. I mean, not necessarily used in other planes, but so often the tail survives.
Yeah.
It's a very strange thing. Well,
yeah.
Obviously.
Where crew members reported seeing the ghosts of Captain Robert Loft and flight engineer Donald Repo. So we are going to dive into that one a little bit more in a second or two. But one of the other stories that I'd got here, and we might do deep dives into all of these eventually, but this one was a girl who was heard over the radio. So it was on the emergency frequency. An instructor and his student heard a young girl repeatedly saying, "Hello, hello," over the emergency frequency while approaching Orlando Executive Airport.
Wow.
It turned out a girl had stolen an aircraft and crashed it a few months earlier. And they think it was her voice coming over.
Oh my goodness.
So I have no other information on this. I don't know if the girl died. I'm sort of assuming she might have done. And suddenly that was her voice back on the radio.
Wow.
So I think that's going to be worth a little further dive into.
Absolutely. I think we need to know more about that.
Yeah. So I shall mark that one as one to look into. And the other, this next one is called The Moaning Dead Man.
Because they so often do.
Yeah. A bit like Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah.
From Harry Potter again. Okay. A cargo pilot flying a body reported hearing...
So, wait a minute. He wasn't flying a body.
He was flying a plane. Well, he was flying it. Yes.
But there was a body on it.
There was a body on the plane.
Okay, gotcha.
But he reported hearing groans and seeing movement.
Oh, my life.
From the corpse. But this was later attributed to gases released in the body due to pressure changes in the air.
Before. I've heard this happen before, or people talk about this happening before. I've never experienced this happening, but obviously the moaning and things like that can happen as a result of gases just being released. But I suppose in a pressurized cabin with the plane going up and down and the pressure shifting. Yeah, I can completely understand how that would freak you the hell out.
Yeah. I have known of morticians who have played jokes on like the work experience kid.
Uh-huh.
Not quite the work experience kid, but the new bloke or the new girl. In the fact that they know that these bodies expel air and have pressure and do sometimes groan or fart or make weird noises or move, in actual fact, all due to pressure build up in the body and gases that build up in the body. The probably one of the weirdest stories was when I was a police officer and I had to go out. I was very new and I was being taken around by what was then called your parent constable. So you sort of latched on to your parent constable who oversaw all your first year of training.
So kind of like shadowing.
Yeah, basically you were doing the shadowing. You were following him, and he would take you to places that you had to experience. And it was a shame because I went to the Old Bailey courthouse, and that for some reason there was nothing going on that we could get into. Otherwise, I would have been taken inside and shown like a courtroom,
right,
and how a proper courtroom worked. But we'd had lots of like practices in the police college where you're in court and you have to do, and there's a case going on and you're part of the investigation or whatever. So there was always that going on, but this was an actual real courthouse. I ended up being shown around the courthouse, but then we ended up going down into the, I don't know if it was the hospital. I don't know whether it was couldn't have been at the Old Bailey, but it was a mortician's place. It was where dead bodies were kept, and they looked at dead bodies to find out how they died. So it was all to do with that. But the humour that went on within, and it was nothing awful. And I tell you what, the one thing I did realise was there was so much respect given to children.
Yeah.
And the bodies of children were really, really respected. And it wasn't that the others weren't, but we were asked if we wanted a cup of tea, and we said yes. And the chap went in and said, I'll just go and get the milk. And have a guess where they kept the milk.
In the fridge with somebody?
Yeah. Under their armpit. They would put the bottles of milk. They would stack them under their armpits.
Oh, my life.
And that's where they kept the milk. But so yeah, it was nothing nasty, but they just had this really weird sense of humour. And I think it's one of those things that you have to have a sense of humour to work in a place like that.
I think you'd have to, yeah. It's either that or it's really going to mess with your head.
Yeah.
I think you have to find a way of coping with what you're seeing every day. Because you're not just talking about something that's just, was an experience I had once. You're talking about people who are dealing with this every day, and you're going to, very much like military humour.
Yeah.
I think you develop a way of dealing with it.
It can sometimes be quite dark, the humour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There were times when we were riding around, because I was in the army as well, police officer in the army, military police, and there were times driving around Northern Ireland during a lot of the troubles that were going on out there, and we used to have to take different routes to work so that nobody knew which way we were going. We all travelled in uniform, but with covertly, so we would have different jackets on. We'd take all our hats off, so it looked like just a group of people driving in a car. But sometimes when we went to work, we were in Land Rovers and we were in full uniform and flat jackets and everything. And the amount of times that we would be driving around Northern Ireland, around the countryside, and the driver would suddenly shout, "Humpback Bridge." Now, humpback bridges, small humpback bridges in the middle of the countryside in Northern Ireland were the ideal place that there used to be bombs put under.
Right.
And they would wait for a military vehicle to come along and go over the humpback bridge. Even though we had no idea which direction we were going, it would only be the driver who would actually know the route that we were taking. And there would suddenly be a shout from the front saying, "Humpback Bridge." And as he said that, everybody in the back would stick their fingers in their ears.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's your prep work.
That's your prep. Because there is no other prep.
No.
It was like fingers in your ears and just pray to whoever God you want to pray to that you don't hear anything.
Yeah. Wow.
And we would get over the bridge the other side and all just go, "Oh, wow."
Yeah.
We're still here.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, there was lots of other humour that was probably not as appropriate as that, but
we'll just go with that one then.
We'll just go with that one.
Let's just go with that one.
But yes. Yeah. Weird military humour in lots of ways, and most of it was a coping mechanism. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
In that sort of situation.
It's a very I don't know, it's a thing. It's a thing where you either laugh or cry.
Yeah.
And the only way you can stop yourself from almost taking it too deeply into yourself is to let it rebound off and make a joke of things.
Yeah.
I think I've adopted that from you lot, I expect. You know, I blame you. I didn't say it was your fault. I said I'm going to blame you. That's the difference.
Oh dear. Okay, moving on.
Going on then. Sorry. Okay, carry on.
We were talking about this, the moaning dead man.
Oh yes,
I think that's
where we were at.
Oh yeah. And I just said about that one. I don't know what became of it. I don't know. I'm assuming he was just a dead body, and it was probably down to pressure. But yes, I can imagine that somebody not knowing that the body produces a lot of noises and movement.
Yeah, not knowing that that's likely to happen, and then being the only one in the cargo hold of a plane that's doing that
could just very well put the shits up you.
Yeah, that's going to put the dampers on your weekend for sure.
Yeah. Okay. This one is a haunted airport. Denver International Airport is known for its eerie artwork and underground tunnels.
Ooh. And we like a good underground tunnel.
We have done the episode on the underground, and I'm sure we're going to do more of different undergrounds, but it has underground tunnels. It has numerous urban legends, including the sighting of strange figures and unexplained light. That was a turn of the page.
Turn the page.
If anyone turn the page. If anyone heard that. So again, I think that one is probably well worth a look at because it has numerous urban legends, and I think I want to dive deeper
into the underground tunnels.
Into what the urban legends are. And yes, including sightings, it says, of strange figures and unexplained light. What figures and where are the lights?
Yeah, unexplained lights.
Yes.
I mean, lights would normally indicate light of some kind.
Yes.
Unexplained lights.
Yeah. In places where lights shouldn't be?
Yeah. Don't know.
Possibly.
We need to find out more.
We do. I have a marker by that one.
Nice.
The next one is Honolulu International Airport. Travellers and staff have reported ghostly apparitions, strange sounds and eerie sightings. See, again, you don't get a lot of information from this.
No.
You get strange sounds. What sounds?
What sounds?
What sounds exactly?
What exactly did you hear? Was it a rumbling stomach?
Was it squeaking?
Tinnitus?
Was it scraping? Was it screams? Was it, well...
Who knows?
We need
sounds.
More. We need more. And eerie sightings. Well...
Eerie sightings? I mean, I feel like they're grabbing at straws here.
Yeah.
You know, we just need to make it sound spooky. Let's say eerie sightings.
Yeah.
Of what?
It does include, it says, including a phantom lady waiting for her lost love.
How do they know that? Did they talk to her?
Someone must have asked her, I think. Who are you waiting? Excuse me, who are you?
Who are you waiting for?
Who are you waiting for? Are you waiting? You always seem to be in the same place.
Yeah.
Are you waiting for something?
What exactly are you doing here?
And perhaps she said, I'm looking for my lost love. I don't know. We need to find more. There's more little etchings going on here because I need to know more detail.
I feel like somebody else has to ask her. You know, if you're gonna, I mean, how do you know she's looking for a lost love? She could be waiting to deliver divorce papers.
She could. Has anyone gone through Honolulu International Airport and seen a phantom lady waiting for a lost love? Did she have a notice board that said,
"Oh, lost love here"?
Lost love here. Yeah. Lost love.
Just waiting.
Just holding it up.
Lost love.
So. We need to find out more. It has a mark against its name.
Excellent.
Now, the next airport I can't even pronounce.
It's going well then.
Yeah. Savanabimi.
I'm guessing you butchered that, but that's okay.
Totally. SUVARNABHUMI.
Well, as the dyslexic in the room, I don't think I'm going to do you much better.
No. It's in Bangkok. There we go.
Thanks for that.
I can manage that word. It's built. Why do they do this? Why? Ask why.
Why do they do what?
It is built on an ancient burial site.
That was smart. Of all the bad things that could happen,
yeah,
I just can't help but think, find a different place.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
Common sense ain't all that common, is it really?
No, it most definitely isn't. Obviously not with planners.
No.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's room here. Yeah, there was room there because nobody else wanted to go on it because it was an ancient burial site. And so you just put an airport on top of it.
As you do.
Great idea. Anyway, the airport now has reports, funnily enough, of wailing and screams, classical music.
Right, at least they've got taste.
And monks performing rituals to appease the spirits.
Okay, so we've got spirits and monks.
And monk spirits.
Monk spirits. Spirits and monk spirits. Okay.
And people playing classical music and screaming.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If the monks are there to appease the spirits, who's there to appease the
monks?
Spirits? There's some kind of sort of domino effect going on here.
Yeah, I think so. Perhaps that's what they need. Perhaps they just need the airport to bugger off.
Potentially. Yeah.
Perhaps they're just angry at the noise.
Which I think is fair. You know, I mean, if you had a nice quiet little spot, you know, neighbours don't make any noise, they're all dead, right? And all of a sudden somebody puts
You're in the middle of an
airport on top of your house.
An aircraft. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's aircraft landing on your head.
You're under an aircraft hangar. I think I'd have a bit of a snot on as well, I've got to be honest.
There we go. Has anyone been to Bangkok Airport and heard any screams, classical music, or monks performing rituals?
I have to admit, I've never been.
I've never been either. There you go. Okay, the next one. And then we dive in a bit deeper.
Okay.
The next one. Mopa Airport in Goa. There are stories of a lady in white.
As you do.
As you do.
Standard feature.
Yeah. Haunting the runway.
Oh, blimey. Could you imagine being a pilot?
Yeah.
And going down the runway to either land or take off and seeing some woman in, in the middle of the runway.
In the runway. That would spook you.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, she's haunting the runway. There are mysterious flames. Where the flames are from or going to, I don't know.
On the runway?
They may be on the runway.
Mysterious flames. We have no idea where those flames are.
And eerie cries that have been reported by staff and locals.
Wow. Is that the woman burning in the flames?
It could be. I'm going to put a little cross by that one. We need to find out a little
bit more about that, because
there's got
to be more about mysterious flames. Where do they come from? I mean, are they in the building? Are they on the runway? Is it there? I need to know more.
We do. Okay, so some more details about Eastern Airlines Flight 401, the one right at the beginning that landed in Florida.
Oh, yes. Didn't it crash in Florida?
Yes. Yeah, it didn't.
It didn't land.
No, it didn't.
It didn't really land, no.
Flight number was EA 401, and it says here that the aircraft was a Lockheed L1011 TriStar.
That means absolutely nothing to me.
Means nothing to me, but anybody out there who is into planes...
Hopefully it will mean something to you.
It means something, yeah. The registration number was N310EA. Yeah.
So use that information to look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They departed from John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York, and their destination was Miami International Airport in Florida. And this happened on December the 29th, 1972.
Wow, between Christmas and New Year, that sucks.
There always seems to be something awful happens around Christmas. I don't know why.
I think, to be fair, there's awful things happening all year round. It's just that we focus more on the ones at Christmas.
More on them. Anyway, the time of the crash was shortly before... Excuse me, I need wine. It's all the talking I'm doing. The time of the crash was shortly before midnight on December the 29th, 1972. And they say that the cause of it was controlled flight into the terrain due to pilot error and loss of situational awareness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that one of those... I don't know. Are they like... You know when you're driving along at like half light and things kind of play tricks on you and you think the road's going a certain way, and do you know what I mean? And you lose sight of the road. I suppose things like that must happen in the air as well.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they were coming into land and relatively low.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Controlled flight into terrain due to pilot error and loss of situational awareness. It says 101 out of 176 occupants, 3 cockpit crew and 2 flight attendants and 96 passengers all died.
Wow.
But there were 75 people who survived.
I bet they were in the tail.
Possibly, yeah. With 58 suffering serious injury out of that 75.
Wow.
So there were some that
got off scot-free.
Got almost scot-free, I would say.
I mean, I should think psychological trauma is certainly going to play its part.
Flipping heck. Absolutely.
You think I'll be taking the bus after that?
Yeah. The crash occurred while the flight crew was preoccupied with a burnout landing gear indicator light.
Oh.
So they were obviously concentrating on something else, causing the autopilot to disengage. The crew focused on the landing gear issue, failed to notice the gradual loss of altitude.
Oh my goodness.
The aircraft crashed into the Florida Everglades, making it the first hull loss and fatal crash of a Lockheed L1011 TriStar. So,
wow.
Just underlining those so I can read them better. The crash led to significant changes in aviation safety protocols, including stricter regulations on cockpit procedures and crew resource management.
Yeah, I suppose it's making sure that everybody isn't focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
That you send a person to focus on that thing and everybody else still continues to do their, pay attention to the things that they're supposed to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Wow. But this happened in the 70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it says here, following the crash, crew members of other aircraft that used parts that were salvaged from the wreck, because the tail end of the plane was actually fine, reported seeing the ghosts of Captain Robert Loft and flight engineer Donald Repo.
Wow. These
sightings contributed to the eerie reputation of the flight and its aftermath.
Ooh.
And I do remember us talking about it last time, and they eventually took out the bits in the other planes.
That's right.
Do you remember?
Yeah, we were saying that parts of planes that had been reused, they were actually removed.
Eventually removed
replaced.
And taken out. And when they removed those parts, these incidents on those planes stopped happening. Yeah, which was really strange.
Yeah, you can make connections with it. Like, it was obviously connected to those parts. But isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah, so a lot of stories. But again, it would be interesting to find out a bit more about the actual stories of the people who saw or witnessed the goings on the other planes.
Yeah.
So that might be something that we can look into again as well. So diving a little deeper into that one. So that's one of the ones that we were going to dive into, but just as a slightly different tangent, but on the same line as this, I did a search for some information on World War II airfields and planes to see if we could look at any of those, because I know there's an awful lot of history behind those types of airfields. And I actually learnt to drive on an old airfield, and it was, for those that know about airfields and World War II areas, it was Tangmere Airfield. Is very well known in that area where the flights were leaving to do the Battle of Britain.
Right.
So, and there's lots of other stories behind it, behind that that particular airfield, and I might want to find out a little bit more about it. Nothing ever spooky ever happened to me. I only ever drove a car around the old runways and things like that. And
you could have driven my old Peugeot 106, around that airfield.
Yeah.
It would have been great because I had a bearing going in one of the wheels and it sounded like a 1940s bomber.
Oh dear. So anyway, I did a little search and we came up with some information. One of the ones I did find out a little bit more about. You'll find out why as we get to that story. But I think a lot of these we're going to dive into a little bit more as well, because I want to know more. So one of the haunted airfields is RAF Waltham in Lincolnshire. Lots of them are in Lincolnshire. A lot of them are on the east side of the country because that's where they took off from to go across.
Of course, makes sense.
Yeah, to get into Europe, into France and Belgium and Germany. So this airfield was home to number 100 Squadron, which flew Wellington bombers. And a ghostly airman in uniform has been seen walking around the airstrip, and a memorial for the squadron has a phantom airman who appears regularly.
Oh,
there you go. I don't know if anybody has done any sort of ghost hunting in and around these places, or whether they're allowed to get onto these sites. I know Most Haunted did at one time. They did an old air base, I believe. I might see if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll do the link. I think it's on the YouTube channel. I will try and give you a link to that if I can find it. Okay, so the next one was RAF Metheringham in Lincolnshire again.
Oh, another one in Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's known for sightings of a ghostly female figure believed to be Catherine Bystock. You're going to love this. Who died in a tragic accident.
We have no idea what kind of tragic accident, do we?
We actually do now, because I did, because of Steph's...
Because I hate a tragic accident.
She hates tragic accidents where we don't know why. So what happened?
What happened?
And I saw that sentence and thought, I have to go and find out what happened. So it is that one that we're going to be looking at a little bit deeper in a minute. So it won't be... It is still a tragic accident, but you'll see what it is. She is often seen flagging down passing motorists by the side of the airfield.
Oh.
So there you go. So we will find out a little bit more about that one in a minute, and about Catherine Bystock, who they believe is the ghost that does it. The next one is RAF East Kirby in Lincolnshire again. This airfield has reports of phantom pilots, ghostly footsteps, and a haunted control tower where phones ring at night, even though none of them are plugged in or working.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
So, and I think somebody might have done a ghost.
An investigation.
I'm certain they have. So
we've got to find it.
I've got to see if I can find it, and if I do, I'll have a look and see if it's on YouTube. And and see if we can find out a bit more about that one, because that fascinates me. Because I've heard of a lot of sort of ghost stories where spirits seem to be using items like of technology to try and get through to people. I think we talked about it in one of our very first ones where someone's mum had rung her.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was one of the stories that we did.
But
that seems like so long ago.
But that was in a dream. I think it was in a dream. Oh,
that's right. It might have been.
But it really helped her to move on.
Yes, it was. It was a dream.
That was a dream. But I have heard of a couple of stories in a couple of other podcasts where they were literally saying the phone that was not even connected, not even powered up, and was just like her dad's phone that was had been put in a drawer, and it kept ringing, and they kept hearing noises like static on the other end. And then there might have been voice. I don't know. I'm going to look it up, try and find out a little bit more.
I will say that this happened to somebody that I knew once, and tragically he lost his dad, and he all of a sudden, it was about a year later, and his phone rang, and he looked at his phone and it said Dad's mobile, and he was like, what, and he answered it, and it was his mum.
Oh.
And he was like, hi, and she was like, oh hi, I just thought I'd give you a ring. And he was like, did you not think you're using Dad's phone? And she was like, well, yeah, I couldn't find mine. And he was like, did you not think it might be a bit traumatic seeing Dad's mobile pop up on my phone? She was like, oh, I didn't even think about it. And of course you didn't. But,
no.
So funny. Yeah, he was just like, well, there I was thinking my dad was calling me from beyond the grave. No. It was your mum.
Now, this one was a bit strange. This one is the ghost. They call it the ghostly Lancaster, which was, again, a bomber, Lancaster bomber.
Yeah, the one with the twin tail.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
And this is a RAF Bircham Newton in Norfolk. So, again, it's very much on that side, yeah. And apparently it's 3 crewmen who crashed their Lockheed Hudson. I don't know if that's a car. Is that a car or a plane?
I have absolutely no idea. I'll look it up and tell you.
Oh, she's going to look it up. Good girl.
What's it called?
Lockheed, Lockheed. That's all one word.
Yep.
And Hudson, Hudson.
Hudson, come here. Come here. Sorry, that's a movie quote. It's a plane.
It is a plane.
It is a plane. The Lockheed Hudson is a light bomber and coastal reconnaissance aircraft. Yeah. There you go.
Wow. So they crashed their Lockheed Hudson and they are believed to haunt the squash courts.
Wow. It was initially put into service by the Royal Air Force shortly before the outbreak of the Second World War.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
And they haunt the squash courts with sounds of balls on string.
Hey?
I'm not sure.
Is that like one of those ones with the bats?
Well, that's exactly what I thought.
I will actually say, it does look, in terms of, I mean, the Lancaster, I understand to have a little bit more of a square sort of canopy over the cockpit. I think. Our listeners can confirm this later. This one has a similar tail to the Lancaster. That's the only reason that I mention it.
Oh, yeah.
But it seems to have a more rounded
front end
canopy. Nose. No, not the nose. The canopy over the top.
Oh, the canopy cockpit. Over the top. Yeah.
Let me I'm totally going to check myself on this now because I'm not sure.
Anyway, it's the sound of a ball on a string. How they can tell that, I don't know. And doors mysteriously closing.
Yeah, I'm totally right. Doors mysteriously closing and balls on strings.
Yeah.
Balls on strings. What is the sound of a ball on a string?
I have no idea.
The only thing I can think of is that stupid bloody game with the ball
with
and
the bat and the elastic.
And
where yeah.
That one. You all know what I mean when I make those ridiculous noises. You all see it. You're all doing the palm thing. You're all doing the actions.
Yeah.
I was right with the Lancaster. It is a little bit more boxy on the front.
Yeah.
Than...
I didn't know you knew so much about your World War II bombers.
There you go, see? I'm a useless font of knowledge.
Okay, so this is a little bit more of a dive into the ghostly woman at RAF Metheringham is known as the Metheringham Lass. There you go. And the background behind it, her name, they believe, is Catherine Bystock. She was only 19 years old.
Oh, there's the tragic part.
Yeah. It was in Horncastle in Lincolnshire. And it was early 1945, toward the end of World War II. The incident itself, not just a tragic end, but Catherine was killed in a motorcycle accident on her way back from a dance with her boyfriend.
Oh.
A flight sergeant stationed at RAF Metheringham.
So she was riding on the back?
She was on the back.
Pillion always comes off worse, people.
The motorcycle, plus, you've got more to come. The motorcycle skidded on a wet road and Catherine was thrown from the bike, suffering fatal head injuries.
Yeah, there's a reason why crash helmets are legal requirements now.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pillion always comes off worse. Always comes off worse in accidents like this. It's never a good thing. If you're carrying a pillion on the back of your motorbike, please, please, please dress them like the Michelin Man. Yeah.
Have a look on your phone a minute on BBC local Lincolnshire news about the Metheringham Lass or Catherine Bystock. Because it's possible, I got a link here to the BBC News, and I don't know if there might be more information about it on there. Do you want her name?
Ooh, Secret Lincolnshire. Myth or mystery?
There's lots of stories from Lincolnshire.
It doesn't like me.
Why?
Well, because it's doing this look.
Oh.
I'm not allowed.
We both...
Yeah, there's an episode on here that you can listen to.
Oh, on the BBC.
On the BBC. It's called the Metheringham Lass Myth or Mystery. Said that she died in a wartime motorcycle crash. And yeah.
I will put a link in the show notes. To that and see if
it said that drivers on the road near the former RAF Metheringham have been flagged down by a woman asking them for help. Her boyfriend, whose motorcycle has crashed.
Yeah.
Only for her to vanish, leaving behind the smell of rotting flesh.
Yeah, it goes on to say that on here.
Yeah.
Apparently, the motorcycle skidded on the wet road. She was thrown off the bike, suffered head injuries. It says the boyfriend, a flight sergeant, I think they said he survived the crash, but had bad injuries, was badly injured. The haunting itself, the Metheringham Lass, is often seen as a young woman in WAAF, Women's Auxiliary Air Force uniform. So she was a serving
It does
officer.
say that she was thought to be a nurse.
Ah, she could, yeah. Well, she was obviously in uniform, so she would have had that uniform on anyway. She is seen standing in the road near the former airfield. So obviously not an airfield anymore. She is reported to wave down passing motorists. Gonna say it again now. Turn the page. And to say that she and her boyfriend have been in an accident and need urgent medical help. There is a strong smell of lavender, which is often associated with her appearance. When drivers stop to help, the woman disappears and the lavender scent is replaced by the smell of rotting flesh.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, there is a BBC Radio Lincolnshire, and there is a sort of section of this called Secret Lincolnshire.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's on there.
I will put a link in our show notes. The theories behind this ghostly presence: many believe that Catherine's spirit haunts the area where she died, seeking help for her and her boyfriend. The story has become a well-known local legend, with numerous reports from both RAF personnel and civilians over the years. The Metheringham Lass is one of the most famous ghost stories in Lincolnshire, it says, and her tale continues to intrigue and spook those who pass by the old airfield. There we go.
Oh.
So it was really quite interesting when you start diving into some of these stories. So we have come to story time.
Swing that light.
Swing that light. Now, this is a story inspired by tales from World War II airfields.
Okay.
So I'm reaching up right now and swinging that light.
Swing the light.
It's called The Phantom Pilot of RAF Waltham. In the heart of Lincolnshire, RAF Waltham stood as a beacon of hope and resilience during the dark days of World War II. The airfield was home to 100 Squadron, known for their daring night raids over enemy territory. Among the brave souls was Flight Lieutenant James, or Jimmy, Harris. He was a skilled pilot with a reputation for his fearless spirit and unwavering dedication. One fateful night in 1943, Jimmy and his crew embarked on a mission that would change their lives forever. Their Wellington bomber, affectionately named the Night Owl, took off into the inky black sky, destined for a heavily fortified target deep within enemy lines. The mission was perilous, but Jimmy's steady hand and sharp instincts guided them through the flak and the searchlights. As they approached their target, disaster struck. A burst of anti-aircraft fire tore through the bomber's fuselage, crippling the aircraft. With engines failing and the plane losing altitude, Jimmy made the difficult decision to turn back. The crew fought valiantly to keep the Night Owl aloft, but fate had other plans. The bomber crashed into a remote field near the airfield, engulfed in flames. Miraculously, the crew survived, but Jimmy was nowhere to be found. Despite extensive searches, his body was never recovered. The men of No. 100 Squadron mourned their fallen comrade, but life at RAF Waltham continued, the war showing no mercy for grief. Months passed, and strange occurrences began to plague the airfield. Pilots reported seeing a lone figure in a flight suit wandering the perimeter of the airstrip. Mechanics heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps echoing through the hangar at night, only to find no one there. The most chilling encounters came from the control tower, where operators claimed to hear a voice over the radio, calling out for help.
Mayday! Mayday!
One stormy evening, Flight Sergeant Tom Davis was on duty in the control tower. The rain lashed against the windows, and the wind howled like a banshee. As the monitors on the radar, there was a faint crackling voice broke through the static.
This is Night Owl. This is Night Owl. Mayday! Mayday!
Tom's blood ran cold. He recognised the call sign immediately. It was Jimmy's plane. He grabbed the microphone, his hands trembling.
Night Owl, this is Waltham Control. Do you copy?
The voice responded, weak and distant.
Engines bleeding. Losing altitude. Need assistance.
Tom's heart pounded in his chest. He knew it was impossible. Yet the voice was unmistakable. He called for backup, and soon the control tower was filled with anxious personnel, all listening to the ghostly transmission. As the night wore on, the voice grew fainter until it finally faded into silence. The men stood in stunned disbelief, unable to explain what they'd heard. The legend of the phantom pilot of RAF Waltham was born that night, a haunting reminder of the sacrifices made by those who served. To this day, visitors to the old airfield speak of the eerie presence that lingers in the shadows. Some say they've seen Jimmy's ghost, still searching for a way home. Others hear the distant hum of a Wellington bomber echoing through the night. The phantom pilot remains a symbol of courage and the enduring spirit of those who gave their all for freedom.
That's eerie as hell.
Wow.
Could you imagine listening to that voice over the radio, knowing that you can't do anything? There's nothing you can do to help this person.
That it's something that happened. That
it's an echo of past events.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be traumatised from that.
Wow.
Yeah. Crikey. And to have a whole room of people experience it as well. For it not just to be you. You're not, you're not going mad or sleep.
Yeah. Deprivation or...
There's a whole room of people that are listening to this as well. That's crazy.
That's amazing, isn't it? Amazing.
And so interesting how things like that can happen over things like radio waves and things like that.
But then people often say that to be open to spirit, you have to be on the right wavelength.
Yeah.
Your antenna has to be tuned in.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot with people. Certain people are tuned in.
I think I need retuning.
Need a retune, love.
Need a tune up.
Oh dear. Well, wow, what a story to finish on.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Anyone been there? Anyone heard it? Seen it? Had anything like that ever happen to you? I would
craziness.
Yeah. I would be so interested to hear any stories from any of you that if you've had some experience of a paranormal or an unexplained story happen to you whilst flying or at an airport or at an airfield or a control tower, anything that it just fascinates me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we need some listener stories.
We do. We are desperate for listener stories. That would fill up a few of our days.
It would.
Doing podcasts.
Yeah,
we would love to hear your stories. Any stories. Short ones, long ones, we don't mind.
Yeah, little mini experiences as well. Yeah. Anything at all.
Well, I think we've got some more travel stuff coming because we're going to be looking at ships.
I see no ships.
Ships that pass in the night. We're going to be looking at boats and ships and that type of thing.
In true swing that light fashion.
Oh, absolutely. And we're also going to be looking at, I think we have haunted like hotels and guest houses and places of interest that you visit.
Oh, cool.
So again, it's all
on that travel theme.
It's all on this travel theme. So we have lots more to dive into, if you like.
While we're on the subject of ships.
Yeah, Absolutely.
There's got to be some submarine action going on there as well.
Submarines, yeah, I hadn't thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just sea creatures and I don't know.
There's going to be all sorts. There's got to be myths and legends of the sea as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Black Pearl.
Yeah. You've seen it. You've seen a ship with black sails that's crewed by the damned and captained by a man. So, what was it he said? I can't remember. That hell itself spat him back out.
She knows all the films.
Oh dear. The stupid thing is I haven't watched them to death. I really haven't. I just have a brain that does this to me. I can't help it. Just so evil.
Brilliant.
That's the line. Yeah, captained by a man so evil that hell itself spat him back out. Yeah, I think it's something like that anyway. That's close.
Well, with that, I think we're ready to leave you again this week.
Yeah.
Go off and find some more stories to tell you, and some more information about different places.
Yeah.
So, have a good week, and
keep your minds open and your lamps lit.
And we'll see you all back here at the Freaking Shack next week. Goodbye, everyone.
Take care.
Find us on all our social medias. Email fshack03@gmail.com. TikTok @the.freaking.shack. Instagram @the_freaking_shack. And Facebook is the-freaking-shack. All those freakings are without a G. And our little web page is at fshack03.podbean.com. We look forward to hearing from you.